why I love this podcast is because it's one thing to experience culture, but it's another thing to archive it.
Everything is in divine order.
There's no success without an L, first and foremost.
Yo, check it. It's John Ojo with Little Africa. You're tuned in to Ambiance podcast, yo. Check it out.
What up, people? Welcome back to Ambiance podcast. This is the official first episode of season 2. Sitting to the right of me, I got John Okevu Ojo II, right?
No, Ojo. So John Okevu Ojo II.
John Okevu
Ojo.
Yeah. The second. Yeah. Okay. So shout out to your father, the senior.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No, so my pops is Peter Matukevu Ojo, senior.
Senior, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
And he is the creator, founder of Little Africa, which is a lifestyle brand based out of Los Angeles, California, which is where you're from as well, right?
South Central, born and raised, LA. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
My whole life.
Likewise, man. And I'm excited to get into it about Little Africa, but first, I kind of want to just start off by getting to know you a little bit better, talk about your journey and what led you to creating this really dope brand of Little Africa, because I personally am a big fan of it. I love what you've been doing. I've been seeing you, the way you move within your circle and your community, so I'm excited to get to that. But first off, let's start with John, man. What was life growing up for you like in South Central Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. So LA for me was always fun, man. Like, I thank my mother for the household that I grew up in. She created a very strict, grounded household where, very disciplined household. So I wasn't one of those kids that was constantly outside getting into shit. Like, she wasn't playing that shit, you know what I'm saying? So I do thank her for how she raised me and instilled a lot of core values that I still apply to this day. So, like, LA for me growing up was like fun because I know for sure I spent a lot of it around like family, friends, and like, my mom's side, dad's side, like, but, just 4th of July picnics, backyard boogies, birthday parties, shit, fucking like, just everything, just fun. Like, my mom, she's from LA, born and raised, so I had like a lot of family just around the city from like Carson, South Central area, so we would, spend a lot of time pulling up on relatives and just, it was always just a good energy, you know what I'm saying? I do thank my mother for the upbringing that I had in LA, and then too, like my pops, my weekends with him were fun as well too, because shit, we would like amusement parks, shit, water parks, just, he made it fun, like, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't anything that was like treacherous or like just like this constant fear or danger, but of course, like LA being a big city, you definitely have to have your head on a swivel. Of course, my mom and father definitely reminded me of like where we were living within the city and how to conduct ourselves, what things to wear, not to wear. So, you just grow up fast out here for sure. You just got to have your head on a swivel. It's a lot of things you could get caught up in for real. So it's just like, having parents who were very grounded and made sure to rear us up in the right way was, well, when I say us, I speak to like my brothers and sisters and shit, but like, yeah, like LA for me was fun, yo. I had a good time, yo. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like, it's easy for people that grow up in South Central to go that other route, right? So shout out to your parents for guiding you and leading you on the right path, because sometimes you get mixed into the wrong mix out there. It could be easy to go down that other path.
And I have friends, of course, like, high school homies who may have like, you know what I'm saying? Not to say got into it too deep, but, affiliations, whatever the case may be. And even then, like, you just see it with like colleagues within your schools, whether it's junior high or high school, who kind of veer off into them lanes. And, you definitely do have to credit the household that you come from, or just whatever core values were instilled in you to just make you, you know what I'm saying, want to stay on the right path. I know for sure, like my pops, he came out here in '85 from Nigeria, so for sure he wasn't coming out here to be raising kids that like caught up in bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. That's another layer to it. He came out here with like a dream and a goal for you, a purpose. Yeah. So talk about that as well. You're a first generation Nigerian American. So talk about what that experience was like for you growing up.
It was really dope. Like for me, I can't say like coming up as a kid, it was like an identity crisis for sure. Like even if you look at me now, you wouldn't expect for me to be Nigerian. I'm very like westernized. I don't have like a Nigerian accent. Of course you hear with my name and maybe subtle features in regards to like my appearance and shit like that, my lips, my nose, whatever. But like, for me, I didn't get the chance to like go to Nigeria as a jit. Like, so everything I've gotten to experience in regards to the culture has been through like family members who have come out here, my brothers and sisters who have come out here, me going to like church with my father, going to parties and stuff like that. So, of course, the culture's been around me, but I haven't been able to truly connect to it on a real grounded level just because I haven't had the chance to go to Nigeria yet.
Right.
But everything that I've experienced in regards to the culture out here has been perfect. It's been beautiful. It's like, it still gives me a sense of identity, of purpose, and values in regards to how I got to carry myself and everything like that. But I do know when I get the chance to touch foot in Nigeria, it's going to be a very humbling and just grounding experience, just to be able to see where my father, came from and the adversities. Like, he speaks to the things he had to deal with coming up and whatnot like that, but being able to see it firsthand, I'm sure it's just gonna do something to me that, I need.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at this point in your life too. Like, cause like you said, you've kind of been living vicariously through that culture, through your family and parents, and then being able to actually like live
firsthand
that.
It is totally different.
It's gonna hit pretty good, I'm sure. Cause I can relate to that, like with my culture. So like, I'm Mexican from like the Jalisco, and I went there when I was younger, like I was a kid, but like I didn't appreciate it because I was so young. So something like as I've gotten older and grown more matured, I'm just like, I want to go back and actually appreciate like being able to go there. Yeah. So I relate that to what you're saying. Like when you were younger, it may have not resonated as well to like where you now, like you probably have more an appreciation for it, right?
Most definitely, man. And you need that grounding in where you come from because, Western culture, I always say, is very infectious, or, however you say that word. But it's just like, you just immerse yourself into it. Like, everyone wants something that America's doing in some capacity. So, and honestly, I feel like history-wise, in regards to America, there is a sort of type of brainwashing in regards to like what your culture may have been for you and get on what we're on. But not to say I was brainwashed or anything like that, but it's just like when your culture isn't directly around you, it's kind of hard to like you got to go out and seek it, and like everything we're being taught in school is totally different from what I come from. So it's just like, it's funny, like as I'm older now and I've realized that with anything, if you want to be good in any type thing, you really got to like go after and like really put the work in to like inform yourself on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and that goes to even culture, like just history, family history, whatever. Like you got to go seek it. Like it's not gonna like come to you, So it's like, being in this space now, it's just like there's this urge, this very intense urge to just like go get it and like sit in it, cement myself in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because if that's your ancestry, like it's in you, so it's up to you to embrace it and find out about it, right?
Most definitely.
Absolutely, man. So talking about your childhood a little bit more, what were some of your early influences as you were growing up that have kind of had an impact on the person that you are today? So
like, and I credit my mother. The way she raised me and my brother, the household I came from, like, I was raised like a boy's boy. Like, I grew up with G.I. Joes, toy guns, like I had a toy box, like, and I played with toys, and like she would decorate our bedrooms with like NFL banners and like, we would have like NFL bed sheets and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like, I was just one of them boys that wanted to like play with toys and like do things like that. Sports was definitely like around me.
Just active.
Yeah, just active. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like a lot of that has played into like what I am personally now. And just even then, like, are you speaking more so towards the brand or me personally?
That's a good question. I feel like we could go either way with that. But I would say more of like into the type of creative you are today. So whether it's like the culture of creativity, whether it's like music,
it's all of that, So like for me growing up, like that's where it started for me. That's where my curiosity peaked in regards to like subcultures, like East Bay magazines and shit like that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It also,
catalogs.
Catalog magazines and shit like that, pre-internet and all that shit. So like that's where it stemmed from me. And just of course too, like, so like on the weekends, like I said, I'd spend the weekends with my pops. So like, we're watching TV all day, just me and my brother. Like, he'll sit us in front of the TV with one fucking bowl of cereal, like one bowl, 2 spoons, me and my brother just eating out the same cereal. Like, that's how we kind of grew up on the weekends. And like, we would just sit and watch TV all day. So like Nickelodeon and just Animaniacs and all these different things, like, sparked my curiosity in regards to like imagery and shit like that. And then also too, like growing up too, like my mom had a lot of family photos and shit, like pictures just always kind of like resonated with me. So just like moving pictures in general, but like all those little subtle things, sports culture, they all played into like my desire for like creativity. But what really like sparked it was like being 16 and like being introduced to like Bape, like
Okay.
seeing Bape like for the first time and like you know, like music videos, like Lil Wayne's Hustler music video and just like that, like, or hearing it rapped about in rap songs because like my brother, like, you know, he was like a really big hip hop head, like collect double XLs, just like hip hop enthusiast. So like me sneaking in his room, going through his double XLs, just looking at certain images like shoes and shit like that, certain advertisement that they would have in it, really like sparked my curiosity for just like fashion and just like the creative scene in just any capacity, you know what I'm saying? But just like, for real, it was bathing. Like, that's what really cemented me wanting to be in fashion. But everything prior to that was just like, you know, me appreciating like subcultures, whether it's cartoons, toy figures. And to this day, like, I still like collect toy figures and shit like that, like Hot Wheels. Like, you know, I still try to stay connected to that kid that like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those hobbies that you have as a shorty and shit like that.
Because when you're that young, it's like more subconscious.
Yes.
Because you're not realizing that like, oh, maybe when I grow up, I can be a fashion designer. Maybe I could own a brand of business. It's just like, you're just like these things. You're consuming it. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes you're subconsciously like studying it almost too. You know what I mean? And it almost plays a role today, especially in a world where, you know, we're constantly recycling past cultures, right? Like, we're constantly, whether that's like vintage wear, whether that's, you know, things coming back in style into fashion. It's just like some of these things, it's like we've seen it, we've been there, and it's like we're able to like pull from that inner childhood, like you're saying, right? And be able to use that in today's world.
So that's definitely what I'm pulling from, man. Because I mean, that's just like, even then, like, bro, if I were to show you my phone, like, you know, I've had the iPhone since the first iPhone, and like,
oh really?
I was like one of those internet kids, save photos and shit off the internet, you know, mood board shit, whatever.
Tumblr shit.
Yeah. Like but pre-Tumblr, like I've been like, even on like my back in the days when I was a kid, like a PSP, I would just save photos. You know what I'm just saying? Yeah, bro. Like pictures for me, like my mom, like we had photo albums, bro, so we could always like go back and recall something from the past. So I don't know, I guess that shit's always stuck with me, bro, but I have at least over like 20,000 photos on my phone. And I have like photos from like the first time I had my iPhone, and just, I call it hoarding, whatever. Like for me, it's just like, it's like a time machine in a sense. You're able to recall these moments in your time, whether it's like, even if it's not a photo of me, but just something from the internet that I seen at that time that I could recall, like being on a blog at a certain time and seeing a certain photo, like all those different things pre me having a brand were the things that were kind of just like triggers in a sense to just spark that sense of like, oh, that's dope. I would love to do something like this from that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. It's like a snowball effect, but yeah, man. Like,
I hear you, and props to you for saving all that, because man, there's so many times where I just wish that I could like have that camera roll from when I was first born, bro.
You can think about it in your head, but it's like, it's one thing to think about it and be like, damn, but it's like one thing to really just be like, damn, like really go through your shit and be like, yo, I remember like that fit, how I felt about that shirt or whatever the case, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because at one point it was an idea and you liked it, so it's just like you could always go back to it. Did you know it back then, like when you were saving these camera rolls, or like did you like know like this is gonna serve me later?
Nah, not really, bro. It wasn't up until it served me later. Like it's just something I like to do. Like for me, I grew up collecting. Like I said, like my mom, she made me a boy, bro. So like I grew up collecting Hot Wheels, model cars, just like, so it's hobbies. I grew up having hobbies as a kid, like, you know what I'm saying, building model cars. So it's just like collecting things has always been something that's been in my DNA. So I just kind of do it second nature. And then it wasn't up until I found use for it that I realized like, oh shit, like this shit all to my benefit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you've mentioned like a few different creative mediums that you've been interested in your come up, right? Like before you actually probably started getting involved in it. So what made you decide like fashion and clothing as being that outlet to like express your creativity versus like, you know what I mean, like music or arts or like anything like that?
I feel you. So like for me, bro, it was my mom's, dog.
It was all your mom's?
Bro, shout out to my mama, Tony Lynn Jackson, yo.
Shouts
like,
out.
You know, R.I.P., like she passed away when I was 12, but like, yo, like the way I dress myself now, like she just taught us to present ourselves in ways that, you know, like, yo, you don't ever leave the house looking like nothing. Like that's what I remember hearing from her. Like, don't leave the house just looking like anything. Like you got to make sure you come presentable. You know what I'm saying? You're representing something or yourself, nonetheless. But it's just like,
so we don't ever catch John bumming.
Nah, bro.
That's what's up.
That's a fact. Like I would never, like, bro, like even if I'm running errands, bro, it's coordinated in some sort of way, bro. Like it's not just second nature at this point, bro. But like, it's not even a brag, but it's just like that's just how I carry myself, bro. From like the manicured nails to the pedicure toes, bro. Like I'm just like clean cut, bro. Like it is what it is.
It's kind of like a lifestyle at this point, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like you can do things to a certain extent without like having a purpose behind it. But at a certain point, what they say, it's like takes whatever, how many days, 30 days to make a habit, break a habit. It's a habit at this point.
I can't break it, bro. Like, yo, it's a true story. Like, and you can ask junior high friends and shit, but like when I was a jit in junior high, y'all would always keep like a napkin in my back pocket for whatever reasons. If I had to wipe something off me, whatever. And like to this day, now that's just turned into me having like a bandana. You know what I'm saying? Just for like, just to, just like it's habits, bro. Like there may be a time where I need to like, let's say I go to the restroom, I can't dry my hands with paper towels. Yo, I got my handkerchief in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, bro. It's just like be prepared for whatever.
No, absolutely. Yeah. That's and that I feel like that bleeds. That same concept bleeds into other areas of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's kind of second. It's really second nature at this point, bro. I can't help it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like they say when you make your bed to start the day, that kind of sets the tone for the rest of your day.
And I make my bed every morning.
Yeah, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right?
Yeah,
so like I'm sure that bleeds into your work.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just super, bro. I've been like this since I was a kid. I was just telling a friend, dog. Like I was one of them kids, right? Like I'm the youngest of 4, so like my mom would give us like a hot dog. We used to eat at the table as kids and shit. Like give me a hot dog. I would get annoyed if the hot dog, like the bun broke and the actual hot dog is falling out. Unless I gotta like hold it together. I want it to be a perfect hot dog while I'm eating it. Like I used to like get pissed as a kid. I remember like getting mad at the
hot dog.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, nah, this is supposed to be perfect.
It's not the way it's
yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like there's little like I'm just like anal, bro. Kind of like maybe OCD.
Yeah, that's good. I heard like a lot of whether it's geniuses or creatives, like they have that like instinct in them.
Quirk about them.
Exactly, but that's a good quirk to have. I feel like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that kind of plays a role in like when you're creating designs or when you're doing your brand. Like things gotta be the way you envision it, right?
Yeah, the way I envisioned it, it has to feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like. And for me, kudos to me having like graphic designers that I work with. Like I'm not blessed with the skill sets to necessarily illustrate what it is that I'd like to achieve. So having people at my disposal when I could like, get a design off, it's good. But like I find myself going through multiple revisions at time because like the way I see it in my head may not be what's illustrated before me. So it's like I have to find a way to make peace with, this is all imagination at the end of the day. Like if I'm not in a position where I could draw myself to show said person this is exactly how I want it to look, I have to find peace with like changing certain things about it to make sure that I still like at the end of the day feel good about what it is that I'm putting out. So it's like it does kind of like not to say get in the way, but it's just that extra little bit of attention and care that I do put into things that kind of like add on to the process.
Yeah. With that said, would you say like you're a perfectionist or not so much?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a professional. Like that shit. Yeah, that should be getting in the way for real, bro. I'm trying to combat it, dog. Like like nothing's perfect. Like I'm learning to find my formula with this shit. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? Because as it grows, taking on certain plays with certain retailers and shit like that. If there's certain deadlines, like right now, I'm facing a deadline right now, and there's like 3 days. I need to have like a design done for a retailer, so we could get some shit going. And it's like it's also too like a time barrier with the person I'm working with, so it's just like they're in the UK, but nonetheless it's like still for me, like it has to like look a certain way because it's representing the brand, is ultimately representing me. Like I want to be able to like live with what I'm putting out at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think that's really important too. There's something to be said about having a balance. And I think you brought up like a really good point, because sometimes you could be falling to hoarding like good shit, and you see that in music nowadays when like producers have like fire beats that they just never put out because they're too self-conscious about like it not being the way they want, and then they release it and like some of their most fire shit, and like other people are just like, damn, why you been sitting on this for that?
Bro, I've lived that. I'm living that firsthand with a lot of shit, man. I got a lot of shit at the crib, designs or actual pieces that I just haven't put out yet because I'm like trying to find a way to like create this bigger moment around it or something like that. And one thing I do realize when it comes to like any industry from music to whatever, like everything has shelf life, so it's like you got to find a way to strike while the iron is hot. not wait too long, but also wait enough where there's anticipation. It's a lot of like, you know, figuring shit out.
Yeah, there's a lot of levels to it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that a little bit more once we get into Little Africa. But speaking more towards like the come up of you mentioned that a bathing ape was your first kind of like spark of interest into like having like a more of a fashion outlet for your creativity. So what was your first kind of like venture into, whether it's Little Africa or whether it's just kind of getting involved into like clothing and designing, you know?
Yeah, so like, so my first stint in any type of fashion, anything, was I did this internship with this store. Actually, it's a store boutique. It's a vintage boutique called Fruition, Las Vegas. So like me being like an internet kid, I was just on the internet all the time. So I used to go on Fruition's website all the time, bro. Like their shit was so fire, dog. Like it was like high end, low end vintage. But like kudos to Chris Julian. That's like the dude who started it. Chris Julian, Sammy Joe Alonzo, and Valerie Julian. Valerie Julian is Chris Julian's brother. So like, or sister, my bad. Valerie and their brother and sister, I'm tripping.
Got you.
But I just loved everything they did, bro. Like, it was so dope, and they had all the celebrities coming through it. There's this one double XL cover of Kanye West wearing like this throwback Fila, like track jacket or like zip up, and like he sourced that from like Chris Julian, and like
Oh, wow.
Kanye and Chris Julian ended up clicking up, and like
Oh, shit.
Chris Julian was like a part of a lot of like a graduation and like Yeezus and all that shit.
Wow.
Like it's like he was like one of those if you know type of guys, like, you know what I'm saying? This is like pre-Instagram, so like you really have to be on the internet digging for like who the people were and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But like he was just one of those dudes that really kind of just like along with a Nego. Like you have those people within this industry that you champion. Like for me, it's like a Nego first and foremost, like a Chris Gibbs, Eddie Cruz, James Bond, Chris Julian, Taz Arnold. These are like the people that I like, oh my God, admired, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shit, who else, yo? Philip Tianad from like Madberry Club, War Tour. Like, you know, so it's just like Chris Julian was one of those dudes who just kind of like showed me like, damn, like this shit is like, he just made it fucking dope, bro. Like he just did that shit so effortlessly. So like just seeing a lot of what he did with Fruition and shit made me want to work with them. So like they ended up opening up a store right here off of Alvarado and Sunset. Wow. And bro, I was working at FedEx at the time. And I got off FedEx. I was still in my work uniform and everything, pulled up. I remember like this is before they were like going to open up the store. I got there before them, so I just sat in my car and waited, got a ticket that day and everything. You know what I'm saying? But like went in with my uniform on and just let them know how much I've been fucking with them and following them for the longest, and just would love the opportunity to work with them. And bro, they brought me on, and like that was my first stint in just fashion, bro. And like the pieces that they had, bro, like just vintage bathing ape, Rick Owens. Before Rick Owens was like the Rick Owens niggas is on now, you know what I'm saying? Like Louis Vuitton, just like Givenchy, tracksuits, like, bro, the shit that they had like sample pairs of like the Jordan 6s that Kanye made for his mom, the Donda 6s.
Wow, they had gems.
They had gems, bro. They had the fucking Jordan 6s Kanye wore, and like the fucking video with Ye from like Otis. You know, like they just had archive shit, bro. Like it was just so dope, man. But that was like my first time being in anything fashion related, playing in the clothes, and just like I remember going to the store the first time and like, you know, not wanting to touch things too much, because it's like, you know, these are pieces I've been seeing on the internet for so long, but never really been able to see in person, and just being so close to them and being able to wear them and style them and shit, you know, that was my first stint, man.
That first-hand experience, too, has to be something you said about that as well, because, and also the fact that you put yourself out there to ask them, you know what I mean, if you could be working with them,
yeah, bro.
You know?
Because for real, dog, like, you know, everything I'm doing in fashion now is like a godsend. Like, I come from like blue-collar work, bro. Like, my first job ever was Wingstop. And the second job after that was fucking FedEx, like, and that's the longest job. Like, I come from like, you know, blue collar work. Like, I know I'm a worker bee, so it's like the fact that I've been able to segue and pivot myself into fashion, it's like, it's a blessing, because it's something that I've always wanted since I was 16. But like, being honest, like growing up and just being from where I'm from, representation wise, like, you know, I didn't really see too many people in fashion. But I can say, like, when I found out, because like All right, I'm going on tangents,
Nah,
but
bro,
like I gotta.
please, go
So,
off,
bro,
yeah.
like what started it for me, like knowing that I could be a part of this in some capacity, and I'm blessed to be able to even tell him that that's something that sparked it within me. But like seeing Taz Arnold in that photo with Kanye, Virgil, Don C, Ivan Jasper, I think that one artist, I can't think of his name, yo. That one guy was there, but that one Fashion Week photo, yo, when like you remember that like Taz Arnold had like the boots on with the tights and shit like that.
Yeah.
So
I know what
like
you're talking about.
that, bro, that like fucked me up as a
Really?
kid, bro. Like what? Like oh shit! Like it just was like that's pre-internet shit. You know, it's internet shit, but it was pre-social media. It's like that was a viral fucking moment. You know what I'm saying? I remember just seeing all them fly as fuck. And just fucking, who Alfonso Bentley was there, like just seeing them all fly as fuck, like damn, like that shit fire as fuck. But it wasn't up until I found out Taz Arnold is from South Central.
Okay.
Went to the same high school as my mama and everything.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm like, bad. Like, it's just that bit of representation that sparked it in me. Like, oh shit, like I could be a part of this.
Especially when you see somebody from when you're from doing it, it's like, why not me?
Why not me, bro? So literally, like, that's when it's like, oh, okay, I could pivot my way into this in some capacity. But like prior to me, like, and I seen that in high school, but of course still went through like the working blue collar jobs prior to me being in it. But like I've always had it in me, like, yo, I want to be in fashion in some way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful that I'm in it. You feel me?
Yeah, absolutely. And your parents too being, or at least your father being, like you, with you being a first generation Nigerian American, I know that with a lot of first generation kids, it's almost like you're taught to get like a stable job, and you're taught to you're taught to like go down the path of like security.
Man.
So was it kind of hard to battle your parents?
Hell yeah, my pops, dog. Like man, that man. We used to go at it, bro. Not to say go at it. Like he knew it was a passion for me because like my dad, bro, he'll tell you to this day, like growing up, he would always be like, yo, you need to make sure you get a good job because you like nice things. Like,
okay.
Bro, I'm telling you, dog, I've been this way since I was a jit, bro. Like, I've been a very, like the finer things in life, bro, whatever, since I was a kid. So, like, yo, you know, once I kind of like, you know, got into my adult age and started working and shit, I think it's when I quit FedEx. Like, I was like, yo, I just quit. You know what I'm saying? Put my 2 weeks notice in, quit.
Just on a whim?
Yeah, not on a whim. I was just tired of it, bro. I was working at the company 5 years already.
Oh, wow.
Hit this glass ceiling. I hated the job. Like, I knew I didn't want to work there, bro. Like, it just wasn't fulfilling. It's like, and then too, to see the motherfuckers like, who's been there for so long, for real.
You could see it be like, that could be me.
These motherfuckers been there like 15 years, 20 years and shit.
It's
like,
scary.
Just scary, bro. Old and all beat up and brittle and shit. Like, you hit these glass ceilings and it's just like, for me, it's like I've always had passions and it's like, who am I to not try them? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go through life. And it's like, real talk, at FedEx, I had this OG, Mike Brown, nigga Mike Brown, yo. Tall OG, and like he used to play basketball and shit like that, and he ended up not making league or whatever. So like he used to kind of like talk to me about that shit. And I remember being like every bit of like 20, 21 and hearing him talk about that and just being like, damn, I don't want to be in that predicament where it's like I didn't go after, and I would see how it affected him, you know what I'm saying? Like of course he has to do what he has to do to survive, but you know, he wasn't fulfilled working for FedEx, knowing that he had a passion, a desire for something, and it didn't manifest into what he desired. So for me, that was kind of like a reminder, like FedEx can't be all for me. This can't be life. Like I gotta find a way to do something else. But back to what you were saying, like Pops, he made it tough, man, because like you said, he came out here with a goal in mind for his kids and just like engineer, doctor, lawyer, something, bro, where that has this idea of security attached to it.
And back then too, creative arts are just like this whole industry wasn't really as prevalent. It was like very few and far between back then. So it's like they didn't really see like, oh, that's like the top 1% if you're making it. Nowadays it's like creatives and creativity is just like the
such a broad, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't up until like there was moments where, you know, we would go back and forth, oh, you need to give up this pipe dream and shit. And I used to have to tell him like, Dad, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, just don't say nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and really put my foot down on like, that, this is what I'm doing. And if you can't find some way to kind of encourage me in it, just don't say anything.
That's important, setting boundaries. Yeah, because at the end of the day, your parents want what's best for you. Always, you know what I mean? It's well intended, but they want what's best for you, but you know what's best for yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's like, I can't, Like, I can't fulfill your vision for me. Like, I am my own child. And I understand what that is when you are a parent. Not to say I'm a parent, but I can understand that. Because I feel like I may be like that towards my child in any capacity. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, and we don't know what, when I have a child, Lord knows what's going to be the end thing. And at that point, social media, whatever may be the thing, you know what I'm saying? But you do have to kind of trust that you've raised your child in a way where they have a certain type of wherewithal within them that they know where to go or how to navigate life, you know what I'm saying? And I know for sure that was kind of tough for my dad to trust that, because like for sure I was definitely like a rebellious kid in high school and shit like that, so we had our moments, but like once I really showed him through the brand and like did a pop-up and successful sales and he seen people come through, then he kind of realized like, okay, I understand what you're doing, son.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. And to this day, like my pops is like my best friend, man. I love him so much. I love that man so much, man.
It's got to be special then for you to be able to like show him, or for him to see like the success of Little Africa.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? Because, it's funny, like when I first started the brand, I was staying with my pops at the time, and like I remember when I was talking about the name of the brand, I'd already started at that point, but he ended up telling me once, he was just like, son, there's gonna be a point in time you're gonna have to change the name of the brand, like he has his perspective, like my pops was born in like 51, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's just like
different times,
yeah. But it's like for him, it's just like a brand. He was just like, how people see Africa as being like poor country, this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, Dad, like, this is what I'm, like, I've been able to show him certain things and convince him, and like this through the success of the brand, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really thankful, man. Like, I'm thankful.
So that said, what was the inspiration for starting Little Africa, and like how far was that after you started shadowing Julian with his work?
So Julian, so my whole trajectory was like, I did an internship with Fruition. I think I did that for like 9 months. And then after that, I got into retail. I started working on the bread at I Love Ugly. I worked there for like, I think a year and a half, maybe 2. Then after that, got let go. Ended up working at Stamped, doing retail for like the next 2 or however many years, 2 or 3 years. Then ended up, after Stamp, like in Stamp, I ended up getting a higher position doing like wholesale, like wholesale's accounts manager and shit like that. So I ended up learning like the wholesale side of retail through Stamped, and ended up working. So like at my time at Stamped, that's when I created Little Africa. Always wanted a brand, was kind of like, it was like a brainchild for a long time, and then started it at Stamped. And wait, ask me the question one more time. I know I'm answering it.
No,
but
yeah. Just like what sparked the creation of like Little Africa.
So, and what sparked it pretty much, bro, was like I've always wanted a brand. I've had like ideas for brands for the longest, but never really had a name that stuck or like an idea that I could really follow through on. So me and my homie Sheck and Lambert, we had a group chat. The homie Sheck titled it Little Africa. So the homie Sheck's from the Ivory Coast. The homie Lambert's from Ghana. I'm from Nigeria. Okay. So it's just like, he called it Little Africa. And I'm like, oh, this is a tight ass name, you know what I'm saying? Like Little Africa. So I asked him, I was like, yo, bro, like, you mind if I like take this name and run off with it? He's like, nah, it's all good, bro, do your thing. And I sat with the name for a while, just trying to come up with like some sort of concept behind it to make it something like Little Africa. But pretty much what it came down to was just like, yo, within any pocket of LA or New York or whatever, you have these pockets where like Chinatown, little Tokyo, little Ethiopia, little Italy, little Romania, whatever. And like within these pockets, you get that culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like for me, growing up in LA, being first generation Nigerian American, LA, the South Central aspect of LA, being from like that part of LA has been what's really informed my identity while I've been out here, how I see things and everything like that. But then also too, being dually Nigerian American, I've seen other aspects of my culture within LA that have shaped my identity as well too. So pretty much it's a coming of age story of me telling a story of what it is to be like a first generation Nigerian American in Los Angeles, but not to just to say Los Angeles, because that's where the whole like soulmate global ties into it as well too. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to the essence of black people we're felt globally. You know what I'm saying? You go anywhere in the world and someone knows who Michael Jackson is, or James Brown, Fela Kuti, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like where our essence is felt globally. So it's just like the soul of us, the essence of us, who we are just as people, there's the swag, everything, you know what I'm saying? It's felt and it resonates on a global level, you know what I'm saying? Like even with you being like Latin American, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you have DMX on your shirt.
Absolutely, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
The culture is felt across the world,
and that's with any culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not just at home eating jollof rice and goat. Like yo, I'm eating ramen too. I'm going to get tacos. I'm going like the culture, whether it's music, fashion. Like we all dip into each other's cultures, and it's felt on a global scale. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much when it comes to Little Africa, that's what I'm giving off. That essence of what I remember growing up and seeing from the music, the soul, the funk, just that feeling of you being in your grandma's living room on a summer day, you know what I'm saying? Or just like hanging out with your cousins, going to the roller rink on a Saturday or some shit, or going to the mall and like, you know, with your homies and seeing who could get the most numbers. Like that feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like that just that are cool, you know what I'm saying? That swag, that flavor, you know what I'm saying?
Is that why it's like considered a lifestyle brand?
Yeah.
Because it's literally a lifestyle.
It's
that
literally
you're
a
trying to portray.
lifestyle. I'm literally but it ties back into like the 70s essence and shit like that. And the reason I tied it back into that was because growing up, my mom was born in '61, so like for me and my brother, like we grew up hearing like a lot of soul and funk as a kid growing up, and just like the Temptations or like, you know, Bobby Womack or Marvin Gaye or Diana Ross and the Supremes, just like, you know, all these soul artists, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like there's a music element that ties into it as well too, just because it's just like that's what I remember hearing as a kid. That was like the soundtrack to my life, you know, or like with my father, like, you know, hearing like a Tony Allen or Ebo Taylor or a Fela Kuti, like, you know, these original Afrobeat artists, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I'm tying it back into just the essence that I remember growing up, man, the things that resonated with me, you know what I'm saying?
And I could see it too, like in the design, like you're saying, because with the brand as well, I want you to touch on the importance of like tying in like actual messaging with your designs or with your brand, rather than just kind of like having the logo, you know, being the forefront. Because I know in a lot of your designs and a lot of your drops, you've had more messaging related type of drops rather than just like flexing the logo. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you recognizing that too, man. Because like, you know, it's just, man, like, you know, I am who I am at the end of the day. And I don't know how to fake, like, I'm just like this. Like, I'm a down-to-earth dude, bro. Like, you know, I'm chill, man. I am what I am. So it's just like, I want to give that off in the clothing. I don't want to give off this essence of just, like, I'm a personable person. So in a sense, I want the brand to feel personable. I want it to connect with you on some sort of level, you know what I'm saying? Resonate with you on some sort of level of familiarity, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like within this world, we have enough of this facade type of like, you know, it's just all good or whatever. But it's just like, even with Little Africa, there's a playfulness in it. There's a joy in it. And it's just like, I want you to feel that. Like, I want you to feel good when you're wearing this. I want you to feel youthful and like energetic and, you know, all these different things. Like, I want it to feel playful. Our essence is playful. Our essence is welcoming. Like, I want it to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? It connects with me directly just because of, you know, my cultural upbringing and everything like that. So I want it to resonate. You have to feel something. You know, when you think of soul, the word soul alone, that has feeling in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Africa, when you think of Africa, I know when I think of Africa, that's something that has, there's meaning behind that. There's a legacy, there's a bigger picture behind that. So I want the product to resonate with you in a way that I feel my culture resonates with me. You know what I'm saying? And I know that my culture has resonated with you, so it has to spark something in you, you know?
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I could see that in a lot of different ways with your brand, whether it's the design, whether it's like the font and the typography you're using, whether it's the colorways, you know what I mean, with it being very vibrant. Like, it's evoking that feeling of like uplifting and like vibrant, and like you said, the 70s, like that design with like different strokes for different folks. I could see that 70s like play out so well with that.
Yeah, for sure,
you know?
bro. And that's like, you know, words to like Sly and the Family Stone, man. But like Everyday People, I love that song so much, man. And it's just like, it's such a real statement. different strokes for different folks. Like, we all got our things. We all got our nuances about us. Like, we all have our quirks that make us who we are. And it's not to minimize the next man or the next woman, but it's more so to just uplift that we can all coexist in the same space and be into what we're into. You know what I'm
love
saying?
that. Yeah, and I respect that too, man. Like, having meanings behind these designs and these collections that you're putting out, rather than just like doing what looks cool or just following some trend. Because it can be very easy to do that nowadays with social media and like the amount of brands out there that are being successful. It's almost hard to like just stay in your lane and like find that balance between like sometimes, you know, being inspired, because I'm sure you got plenty of homies with their own brands that are doing really cool shit, that are doing like have great ideas, and it's just like you don't want to jock that, but at the same time you could be inspired. So
yeah, most definitely, bro. Everyone's doing something these days, man, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other like brands out there like that you want to shine some light on that you kind of like are personally very
like I fucks with?
Yeah, that you fucks with.
So like the homies, like my guy Alex with Bueno, of course Javi and Joya Paisa Boys. I mean, everyone's doing their shit, bro. From KOI to Bricks and Wood to Crenshaw Skate Club to Cessbon to fucking everyone, bro. There's everyone, barriers, bro. The list goes on. Circulate, bro. The list literally goes on, bro. Like there's everyone, bro. Wicked Thoughts. Like I could go on and on, bro. Like a brand could keep coming to me right now. Everyone's literally doing their thing. So it's just dope to see everyone excelling in their own lane. And honestly, it's just that good representation, bro, because it's just like from Carrots to freaking, what's my dude's name? No, not I know Tech. I'm drawing blanks on his name. I mean, on his brand's name right now. Individualist. Yeah, okay. There we go. So it's like, bro, everyone's doing something right now, bro. But it's like, it's just dope to see because it's encouraging, bro. Like, we're all young men excelling in our lane based off of culture that we've all resonated with in some sort of way, you know what I'm saying? So, but just like within my circle, those are the people that I'm like, you know, kudos to everyone, to infantry, everyone, like, you know what I'm saying? But like on a larger scale, not to say like what we're doing is minimal to what these fools are doing, but like Wells Bonners, like, you know, like I got they damn Adidas on right now. This shit's so solid. Even like an ALD, visually what they do, even what I like what a Brain Dead does in regards to just like the playfulness of their clothes, or Real Bad Mod, even like Union's in-house shit. I love it. It's clean, man. Like everyone's just doing shit, bro. I'm like a student of the game, man. Like I just love fashion. So, you know, you could take subtle things from everybody, bro. Everyone's doing their shit in their own way, you know?
And I think that goes to show you that there's enough room for everybody to eat and for everybody to succeed, you know? And I think if you're listening to this and if you're an entrepreneur, creative, or you're wanting to start your own shit, to not be scared of like, just because somebody's doing something good and it's your homie or whatever it is, and like they've reached a certain level of success, it's like you shouldn't be scared to like start your own thing, because you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's this, what you're saying right now goes to show you that like you can find your own lane and become just as successful. And everybody has their own journey, and sometimes it gets hard to like not compare yourself to other people. But at the end of the day, you know, there's enough room for everybody to eat.
Even with my homie Wale, Rivers Wild. Like, since you asked me that, bro, I'm just thinking about brands, bro. So I'm gonna just be dropping brands throughout. No, I'm just funny. But like, nah, yeah, bro. Like there is enough space and bandwidth for everybody to, you know what I'm saying, get into this. You just got to be confident with what you're doing and know what it is that you're doing, and not try to, you know, be like anyone else. You know, you got to definitely know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to Little Africa, when did you notice some like, what was the first like big step of progression that you kind of noticed to where you realized that like, man, I could really like make this into something like
so
big?
Like, you know, when I made this hat, my LA tribal hat, I did like a pop-up and whatnot, and like, you know, it sold out really well, you know what I'm saying? And but even prior to this hat, I made a Foxy Brown tee, and that tee sold really well as well too. Like I knew like the stories and shit that I was telling no one else was doing for real. So like I always had this sense of confidence that like, you know, I'm carving out a lane for myself, but it is gonna take some time for, you know, people to, you know, click onto it, because it's something that has to resonate with you in some way. It's kind of niche in its own way, you know what I'm saying? But like those two items really like did it for me. And then honestly, man, like when I really started wholesaling my shit.
Really?
Yeah, like when I really started making it a point to wholesale my shit and seeing the amount of stores that were interested in carrying the brand, definitely like cemented even within myself more like, okay, like there's interest out there about what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just like the retailers who were actually interested as well, you know, these are very much like specialty boutiques, and, you know, the company in which I'm being carried in is very admirable for me. Just like it's humbling, like, man, like, you know, I'm right next to like a CDG or like a Craig Green or,
that's
you know,
crazy.
a Stussy, you know, brands that I have admiration for, you know, so it's been dope, man. Like that's what's really been like propelling me and making me feel like, okay, I got something, let me keep going at it.
Yeah, I saw you got into Dover Street Market,
Yeah.
right? Which is huge. That was like,
that's beautiful, man. Like the DSM play is dope, you know, but even prior to DSM, like I've always had retailers who've been like shopping with me and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, is shout out to the little guys out there who, you know, have faith in the brand before like a DSM recognize me, you know what I'm saying? Because the way I see it is like, you know, give flowers to everybody. You gotta think about it like a smaller retailer who doesn't have necessarily the backing or a budget as much as a DSM has bought into me multiple seasons before a DSM may ever thought to like give me a dime, you know? And it's not to like cheapen what DSM is, but it's like just to really not make it about like like I know what DSM is for me visually, and I'm so thankful, you know what I'm saying? But like I feel like every retailer plays a big part in the success of what it is that I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like if it wasn't for that first retailer that bought in me, there wouldn't be a DSM. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pay homage to the whole moment and not just like never forget where you came from for real, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love that.
So like, yeah, man, like, but DSM is fucking dope, though. Like, don't get it twisted, dog. Like, I'm in fucking DSM. Like, that shit was a dope ass moment for me, and it still is. You know, I still have relationships with them and still continuing to do things with them, but like, it just lets me know that there's more work to do. And, you know, I haven't even like touched the ceiling of what it is that I'm doing yet. But it's definitely, it fuels me, man. Cause like for me, like I said, I'm a student of this, and like, you know, Raquel Cole, like she's like the one, you know what I'm saying? Like she's the one, like so many people look up to her on just an avant-garde level and just everything, bro. Like she is the one. But like DSM is the cream of crop of retail, you know what I'm saying? Like you get the best experience in regards to retail product, and not to like say there aren't other retailers out there doing their thing, but like DSM, like, you know, it rings bells, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and also to the brands that have done things within there, the activations, everything, like I'm just in good company, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So going to Little Africa, is it become what you first envisioned it to be, or has that changed along the way?
It's definitely changed along the way.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's constantly changing day by day, and not to say day by day, but I will say like this year has shown me a lot, you know what I'm saying, as we're in the tail end of the year. It's shown me a lot in regards to how to properly plan and execute on ideas and things of that nature. But like, it's definitely changed over time. My idea of product and like releases and just like the different extensions that I could have with the brand as well too have changed, and I'm allowing myself to think a lot bigger with it as opposed to the box that I was just thinking in initially. Because like, let's say for instance like a DSM, and like these are the things that like, you know, certain brands deal with when they get the recognition of certain like boutique retailers and shit like that. Like, yo, like, okay, do I do a play with like said retailer, multi-chain retailer that's not necessarily on the same cool or industry or hip level as like a DSM? Does that cheapen what DSM will think of me? Like, you know, like all these different things. But I've had to realize like, nah, like, yo, take my plays. Like, I'm gonna take all my plays. I'm not gonna like try to say, not to say like, of course you say no to things, but like if it works, it works. But also too, like there's shelf life. You wanna seize the opportunity while it's there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't wanna let the retailer determine what my brand is. I have to remember to determine what my brand is. You know what I'm saying? So no matter whom recognizes me, I still have to ensure that I see the brand for what it is and not let certain moments dictate what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because what you've done and the way you've seen your brand has gotten to you to where you're at now. So it's like, trust it. You know what I'm saying? But like you go through these moments where you're just like, man, it becomes a lot sometimes, bro. But I feel like that's just also too the learning curve of entrepreneurship. Like I don't necessarily have anyone in my family who I've been able to like see firsthand go through this. So that's true.
You know, it's just like it's a learning curve, it's growing pains. But all to my benefit at the end. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, and to go along with that, it's like things should change and they should evolve because you're evolving, you're becoming a different person. So like maybe in 5 years, like there'll be different things that you want to instill with Little Africa.
So I'm open for everything right now, you know.
Yeah. So that with that said, you have like what plans do you have for Little Africa moving forward? Like, do you have anything you want to share about like what you got coming up? And
so like, you know, my 5 years coming up, and I'm working on doing like a solid like collaboration / event with like a really good retailer right now, just to kind of signify that moment, make that a moment. Like 5 years is big.
It is, yeah.
I'm thankful, like, you know what I'm saying? I still got a ways to go, but like I have a hard time celebrating things. So like, you know, like even for my birthday, it's hard for me to celebrate that, but I do want to celebrate 5 years.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's kind of like the for me, it's like this work mentality of just constantly keep going. Don't allow yourself to sit in that one moment because that one moment isn't what you're doing it for. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get caught up in a moment and just allow yourself to just, I don't know, bro. I don't want to like, I guess it's like a jinx thing. Like, I just want to keep going, head down, keep going.
I got you. Okay.
Like, kind of like Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying?
Tim Duncan.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Just be consistent and
that's what I'm
longevity.
supposed to be. Yeah, longevity.
I got that. I like that too. But with that said, do you make any time to like reflect? And like if so, what are these moments of reflection that you?
So my moments of reflection kind of come through moments. Like, so like all honesty, right? Like when I got the DSM play, like I had a moment to reflect, knowing that I was getting the play. But the next day is I get to the work.
Already.
So I don't really, bro. I don't really allow myself to like. In the moment, like you hitting me up for this opportunity to do a podcast, I reflected in that moment of getting that DM.
Got you.
Once I respond, it's on to, okay, now I have to do it. Like the thought of this isn't enough. The action of it isn't enough. And even after we do it, it's not enough. I still got to keep going. It's kind of sick, bro.
That's
Like it's too much, bro, because it's like I got to learn to take the time to sit in things. But it's like this, just keep going, like just keep going. You don't know when it's gonna stop, so just keep going.
That's interesting, man, because I've asked that question quite a few times and I've never gotten like that response in regards to like moments of reflection, you know what I mean? So it's like almost what I'm taking from that is like you're soaking in the opportunity when it comes, but it's like almost like now let's get to work. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to fumble it.
We don't want to fumble it. Like you present the opportunity, so I'm thankful for that. But that's not the end goal. Actually doing the opportunity, that's the end goal. But even with doing it, like there's gonna be a certain residual benefit from this sad moment right now, and I'll be able to reflect on that later on down the line. It's like compound interest. It all just compounds. These moments just compound on each other. And so you get to that one moment where it's just like, there's $250K in my account, $90K in my savings, or, you know, the other way around, because there should be more in my savings than my other color. But like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, damn, this shit's fucking working. It's really working out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to sit in these little moments, and because I have so much more for what I want of it. So I don't want to like just put the stamp on this moment and just sit and then like, oh yeah, like even 5 years, bro, let's get to 7. All right, can you get to 10? Can you do 15? All right, let's get to 20. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So do you think, how far ahead of time do you think, like when you're planning this shit out, do you like,
I'm just now learning this now. So I think about that in a sense of just like, the more and more I keep going, I know I'm gonna get to that point where I'm 10 years down the line, I'm able to look back. But when it comes to structuring out a full calendar year, that's what I'm really learning right now.
Got you.
How to really be in 2022 right now, but already thinking about the full 2023 and moments to execute within that, and how to stay consistent within that. Because like a lot of what I do is just drops. It's not really on this fashion calendar, but I've seen the benefits of really making sure you're capitalizing in certain moments in the year and things like that to build on consistency and like to really build on the legs of the brand and everything like that. Like, I'm learning real time as I'm going, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's almost like Little Africa has been like your university.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? For
it's
learning
teaching
stuff.
me. It's teaching me, bro. Like entrepreneurship, this is like a crash course for me. This is for real, like a crash course.
And what better way to learn this than like firsthand going through it, you know what I mean? Because you could go to school, obviously learn like everything, but I think in today's generation, like people are learning more from like
firsthand.
Yeah, firsthand, whether it's like listening to podcasts or listening to people like you kind of share game on it, or whether it's like watching YouTube videos and like understanding how to do things that way rather than like going straight to like a university to like take a business marketing course or something.
I
You know what I mean?
I didn't do any schooling, bro.
You didn't?
No, I didn't go to any schooling. Like I did like community colleges and shit. I have like no associate's degree, no bachelor's, no nothing, bro. Like this is all pure grit and just like learning firsthand, working through experience through retailers and shit like that and network. Like it's all pure grit, like, you know.
So yeah, we've talked. I think we talked a lot about that. So that's a good point. I like that you brought that up because we talked a lot about, you know, the successes and like the triumphs that you've had. But like, are there any like failures that kind of like shook your world or kind of like set you back? You know what I mean?
Bro.
That
Hell
like
yeah,
are notable.
So like, you know, 2020, coming into 2020, you know, I turned 30 in 2020. So like, you know, that year was supposed to be very impactful for me. I just got a great job at the top of the year. You know, the best salary job I've ever had in my life in fashion. You know what I'm saying? And 2020 pandemic hit. I was unemployed after being 6 months unemployed in 2019. So like getting a job in 2020 of January and being let go March of 2020 for nothing that I did at all. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
a hard pill to swallow.
Oh my God. And then just too, like pandemic, like, you know what I'm saying? Just going through that. But even then, like, you know, prior to me losing that job, like I've lost other retail jobs too that just shook me up and had me feeling like, damn, I'm gonna have to go back to FedEx. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to go back to FedEx and just have to get some money coming in or something, you know? So like, I've had plenty of moments in my life, or even shit, just losing my mom, you know what I'm saying? Just like,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Man,
just
that
like,
must've been tough.
Yeah, that was tough too, but you know, being 12 and just trying to understand that shit. But like, life has for sure shown me, you know, plenty jabs, right hooks, and uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? But not to like throw a pity party, but it's just like a part of life. You know what I'm saying? So like, but like, yeah, man, like losing jobs, and especially like at this big age now too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you want to be in a position to take care of yourself. And for me as a man, a Nigerian man, like, you know, I want to be able to take care of myself. I want to be able to take care of a family, and you know, having financial woes when they come, and it's everyone goes through them. You know, no one's perfect. So. But just having those moments and having to figure it out and get ugly and hustle and do Uber for X amount of time, or just like, you know, fucking Postmates, whatever.
Yeah.
And just to figure it out, you know what I'm saying? But it builds character.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of avenues nowadays, you know what I mean, to do side hustles and do different things that like to get your feet wet in different like hustles and industries. So are there any aspirations for you to like get your feet wet in like other types of creative mediums? You know what I mean? Because you talked you talked a little bit earlier about how like you want to start also working on your own personal brand. You know what I'm building that up.
So like me, bro, like I feel like I'm like kudos to my mom. But like I'm very clean. I'm a very cleanly man, bro. Like very like scents and oils, shea butters. But like I'm a very like clean man, bro. Like, and I feel like that isn't something that's really taught to us as men, how to really upkeep proper male hygiene and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? From like being secure enough to get your nails cut by a manicurist, or your toes, you know, the callus on your feet, from everything to how to wash your ass. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like I feel like dudes nowadays ain't really like cleaning themselves or really presenting themselves in ways where women feel like they feel comfortable even being touched by us. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Not in my case. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, shorty saying she having problems with me and my hygiene. Like, you'll never hear that. But like,
it's almost a stigma, like with male culture.
Yeah, it's a stigma. It's like it's a badge of honor in a sense. Like, yo, this ain't the 50s and the 60s. We're not oil miners and shit.
Yeah.
We fucking work in offices or fucking security jobs or whatever, UPS, whatever it is that you're doing. But like, you know, a certain personal hygiene is needed as men, and I feel like that should be the proper norm that's teach us moving forward as we go on. So long story short, like I wish to brand myself in that regard, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people who know me personally, they'll attest to it. Like I always come through smelling like something.
Skin's you do. I can attest to that right now. I can smell my man from over here. You know what I mean? I can smell him from over here.
So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? How you clean yourself. There's some dirty ass niggas out here, bro. I swear I've seen it, man. I've seen it firsthand.
Absolutely.
So it's just like, yo, you gotta really be about how you upkeep yourself. I feel like it's very important, man. Like exfoliating to the cloths you wash yourself with to the soaps that you use. But I really want to start to find a way to brand that in some sort of way. Like, side note, I've always wanted to be like a dermatologist or like
Really?
holistic healthcare. Like, yeah, I'm really into like skincare and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I've always wanted to find a way to segue my life into that in some sort of way, esthetician or something. You know what I'm saying? But even then, like, I want to own a nail shop. During the pandemic, it showed me, man, women don't hold any expense on upkeep. Being in the service of women is such a lucrative business. You know what I'm saying? Women, lashes, nails,
just maintenance.
maintenance in general, bro. Hair,
Eyebrows.
like, eyebrows, waxes.
There's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
My girl
in
does
that.
all that, bro.
You should ask her one day, bro. I've had women in my life who have told me how much they spend on X, Y, and Z, and it's like, damn,
It's a lot.
Man, that much a month? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just like, bro, like, but during a pandemic, women were still going to get their things done for themselves.
That's true.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it doesn't matter. People will always pay for a service, you know? So I would love to segue into that. And even then, just owning certain, like, apothecary items like oil, shea butters, and stuff like that. Just find a way to brand myself in that capacity. I guess in a sense of, like, beauty, but, like, for men, you know? Make it
Yeah.
player. You know what I'm saying?
I like that because there's not many people championing that, like, for males, especially like in this space. Like, I see, like, obviously Pharrell dropping Human Made, you know what I mean? Or what is it? For
Yeah,
the,
human race.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I
Like
think
that
so.
whole skincare product line, but like I don't really see a whole lot of like male like skincare or like hygiene stuff
Hygiene.
outside of the pocket. That's like very commercialized,
Right.
like Old Spice.
Old Spice and shit like that, or like, you know, shout outs to like a Shea Moisture. They do stuff for men, but like you have these brands that would create their men categories. You know, even Dr. Kills if you use like face wash and shit. But you know, I feel like there's a way to do it where you doing it on some player shit. Like, yo, like, bro, I'm about to go get a facial. Then I'm about to go out to dinner with a shorty. That's player.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's player. Like,
That's self-care.
How's that? Yeah, that's like, how is that not cool? You know what I'm saying? As a man, like, yo, like, there's been plenty of times I've gone out on dates and shorty's like, oh my God, your hands. Like, yeah, women notice your hands as men.
They do.
Women notice everything. And men, you should notice things on women too. Look at their feet. Make sure, I feel like we have to, in a sense, I want to champion us having boundaries and standards for ourselves in regards to like even what we expect on the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we should be intentional enough with ourselves to make sure we're clean and well hygiene for a woman to even find herself to be attracted to us and give us her time. But at the same time, too, you too as a man, you should know what you expect from a woman on that same regard. Hygiene-wise or upkeep-wise, you know what I'm saying? Because I know for sure if I'm doing all this to myself, shorty, you for sure better be getting your nails done.
Yeah.
You for sure better be, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm making this a point for me, I want that to be something you champion for yourself, too. Like, upkeep, self-care, you know what I'm saying?
You're spitting right now, man. Like these are all things that like I widely agree with, but like haven't really thought about. Like, and to go back to the like skincare and hygiene routine stuff, like I have so many products right now. Thankfully, just because my roommate, I told you he's a cinematographer,
Yeah.
he works in the beauty industry,
Right.
so he gets all these products that he's been. Thankfully,
And your skin looks good,
thank
bro.
you, bro. I appreciate it.
That shit's clean.
I got this routine
Yeah,
down, but like
yeah.
when I think about all the products that I have, they're all marketed towards women, and the branding is just.
I got some
female.
women products at the crib, too,
And they're
bro.
fire.
But they're fire for you,
They're
yo.
very fire
They're very
for you.
fire.
But it makes me think about like how come there's no like male.
Because it's not a common narrative, bro. And I don't think they want to, not to say they don't want to make it a common narrative, because there's people, but I do feel like that's more, it's not more so geared towards heterosexual men.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
Like, you don't expect that from heterosexual men, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like all men, whatever spectrum you agree with, like, you should be keeping up with yourself. That's just a
Yeah.
common standard, you know? There's been plenty of times I've left the nail salon and a grown man would be out there waiting for his wife. He's like, you really be in there getting your nails? And I'm like, I remember telling this one OG, I'm like, yo, like, I'm getting to the money. My hands got to be a certain way,
That's
just as I'm going for what I'm going for. And then even then, if I want time with a woman, if I want to touch a woman, like, I can't just be having any old type of hands. Like,
Yeah.
that shit, it's just for me at the end of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is for representation of myself, like how I want myself to be perceived. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and I'm sure like women would agree with this as well. Like they would love a man that like takes
keeps
care
up
of
with
himself.
yo. Like, we need to be doing that. But pretty much I'm trying to brand that and find a way to like lifestyle that in some sort of way. Like,
I love that.
You know, like, that's why I need a brand, man. I need someone who could brand me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got ideas and shit, but like, yeah.
Especially because you're interested in that aspect. You have in your whole life,
bro.
You know what I mean?
So like, kudos to my cousin, but like, I remember her setting me up with St. Ives apricot scrub early, bro, in like fucking high school, like 9th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, getting me on like washing my face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in high school, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wash your face, exfoliate your skin, you know, like lotions and like, you know what I'm saying? Like soak sometimes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel like there's a big education aspect to all this stuff, right? Because like me as a male and like other males, I'm sure haven't really been put on to game about this stuff. You know, it's like there's so many like 3-in-1 solutions, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah, like if you out here using Axe body spray and shit, like, bro, you need to give it up. Like, you need to like dive into products. You know, there's a wide range of products out there, you know, natural deodorants and shit. You know what I'm saying? If you're using Axe deodorant or fucking Dove deodorant, like, yo, there's natural, not to say there's anything wrong with those, like, to each his own, but like there's natural deodorants out there that are better for your body.
Yeah, that is actually very true. Like
toothpaste, if you're still using like Crest and shit, bro, like get on Tom's. Like, there's natural toothpaste out there that's better for your mouth, like natural mouthwashes. Like, it started for me, like, even on ball, but like I used to have like 360 waves and shit.
Oh, really?
Y'all can say, he's tripping. Like, I got photos. Don't trip.
He got
like,
receipts.
I got fucking receipts. But like, I got into like natural soaps and shit.
Okay.
And like, at this time in my life, it was like early 20s, I was really into my upkeep. Like, we'll watch videos on other people who were doing wave videos and shit, different ways of like brushing your hair to get different patterns of the waves to come in. And
different
like,
strokes for different
yeah,
folks.
you feel me? And like, and just like getting hot tea tree oils and shit like that. Like, I used to do all that shit, but like, just upkeep, man.
Bro, it feels good too. Like the feeling that you get, it's not just like a physical appearance. It is that. There's an aspect to that as well, but also, as you well aware of, there's just like this feeling that you get from it, a feeling of confidence,
man.
A feeling of like
you feel good. You feel good about yourself, man.
Look good.
You feel good. You feel me? Like, I remember, like, you know, my dad, he's just a work, man. He works so hard, and I remember like getting him a massage for one of his birthdays. And this is the first time he's ever gotten a massage. I'm just so surprised like that. I'm like, Dad, in your whole time of being in America, you've never gotten a massage? Like, as much work as you've been doing your whole life, you never thought to get a massage? And it was just like, but you got to think about our fathers and the men before us. Like, that wasn't a luxury. You know, we are blessed. Like, we're very well informed for our generation, so we do understand the benefits of certain things. And we've been able to see people partake in certain things. So that's why we know it's a thing to, like, self-care is a thing, but that wasn't anything that our parents were really preaching to them and shit like that, especially for their fathers.
Absolutely.
So it's like, you know, I know for me, like, growing up with my kids, boys and my girls, like, I'm definitely going to inform them on, like, upkeep, keeping up with yourself. Make sure you are, like, taking the time to rest, and you know what I'm saying? Don't be so stressed and burdened, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wonder how that was like, how that came about for you then, because like, you know, not having a father who like didn't really take emphasis on that. How did you like teach yourself?
Mom.
Oh, your
so,
mom.
like,
Okay.
That's something, bro. My mom raised the hell out of me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she did a hell of a job with me and my brother. You know, I remember being like every bit of 6 and 7 years old, and she used to be saying stuff like, "Don't no woman want no man with no crusty feet." You know what I'm saying? My mom was like, she called it straight. She was just a straight shooter. Like, she kept it real, which I appreciate, which is why I keep it so real now. But it's like, yeah, man, like, you got to think about it, yo. Like, women know what they want from men. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they're not always in a position to say that to a man, because a man may have a perception of that's feminine or whatever the case. But like, yeah, like, man, just keeping up with myself. Like, she made sure we always were clean and presentable, and it's kind of like militant in a sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, if you're in the military or the army, you know, you're the corners of your bed are supposed to be nice and tight and creased trousers and these different things. It was very, but I do feel like maybe she was that way because like she grew up in foster care. So when you grow up in foster care, you're like certain people's homes, some people have their house rules and you have to abide by that and certain things like that. So yeah, she was just very anal, and it's paid dividends for me and how I just keep up with myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a huge influence on your life in
most
general.
definitely.
Yeah, so going back to your creative career, do you have any words of advice for like an aspiring creative out there or entrepreneur? Something maybe that you wish you knew earlier on in your stage that you wish you could kind of tell your younger self, you know?
So never doubt what it is that you have. Like definitely like coming into any type of industry, whether it's music or whatever, you know, there's politics within it and everything like that. There's like certain codes that you gotta, you know, it's just certain things you're just gonna see that may not subscribe to you personally, but like never limit the possibility of what you can get in any said industry by just being yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like stay true to who you are in all things that you do, because you don't have to conform to the ways of others or whatever the case may be to get a leg up in things. Like if you stay solid and grounded in who you are and know who you are prior to you even exposing yourself to others, like really have foundational truths about yourself that you hold dear to yourself, and codes of ethics and morals and how you conduct yourself as a person. Like if you really ground yourself in those things and, you know, go into your own lane, know that confidently you will gravitate towards people who fuck with what it is that you're doing. Like trust your process in all facets, you know what I'm saying? But also too, don't be afraid to take the time to really like figure out what it is that you have before you just expose it to the world, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not a race, it's really a marathon. Like take your time with things. Don't feel so rushed that you see X, Y, and Z and they're doing X, Y, and Z at this certain pace that you feel like you got to keep up with that. Like go at your pace and trust your process fully.
Is that something you've learned through experience?
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Okay.
For sure. Like, you know, definitely with Little Africa, when I started off, I definitely took my time with it. But the further and further I've gotten to, you know, my retail plays and all these different things and, you know, being spoken amongst certain other brands, you definitely feel like you want to keep up to a certain standard of what they may be doing or where they're at, but, you know, they may have different variables that are assisting them in what it is that they're doing. So it's just like trusting what it is that you have and, you know what I'm saying? Being confident in what it is that you have and knowing that it's going to work out to your benefit, you know?
That's a good point, yeah. So trusting the process, trusting yourself, because like you said, different people have different advantages that you have. So like their blueprint or their story may not work for you.
Yeah.
So like finding your own path, I'm sure very evident.
Yeah, their trajectory is their trajectory. So like you just lock in on what it is that you have and trust that what is for you will be for you. And, you know, as I'm saying this to them, I'm also saying this to myself. This is something I got to remind myself with daily, for real. Every day I wake up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, man. Well, shit, you dropped a lot of game on this episode,
Nah,
a
this
lot
is
of
good.
gems.
Yo, I love talking.
Absolutely, man. You do a great job. Very well said, and I'm looking forward to more to come from Little Africa, from Soulmate Global.
Yeah.
So, any last words? Can you plug like any channels for yourself or anything else you got coming up?
Yeah, so follow me at littleafrica.la for the brand page if you want to follow me personally. You may want to write this down. J.Okevu Ojo. That's my personal IG handle. Got the website, soulmateglobal.com. If you need any Little Africa product, go purchase that. Oh yeah, look out for my new hat. This is like a one-of-one sample. The next one is gonna have felt lettering on it, but LA tribal hat. Got the beef and broccoli on me right now. Got a Ben's green one coming out as well too. Got a new DSM release. It's going to be in DSM before the end of the year. Oh yeah, also too this weekend. Well, this isn't even coming out this weekend.
Nah, it's not.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nonetheless, got activations and shit. Look out for me, yo. We're coming.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. I was gonna say too, that's fire colorway. I haven't seen
Appreciate
it, but
it.
like
Yeah.
that's fire as fuck.
The beef and broccoli, man.
Yes, sir. Love to see it.
Yeah.
All right, John, we appreciate you coming on. Looking
Appreciate
forward
it.
to more continued success. Hopefully we
Yes.
could do this again in a couple
Oh
years.
yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll be at some different levels
Yes, sir.
and be able to recap on the successes from you in Little Africa. So
Yeah,
appreciate
most
you.
definitely. Appreciate you.
All right, with that said, from John Levi, this is Ambiance Radio. We out.
Peace, y'all.